Good morning, everybody, and welcome to K-Talk. This is the Prepper Talk radio segment every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Just
10
kidding.
p.m.
I wish it were that long. It's actually just 1 hour. We wish we could do a whole day takeover, but guess what? We kind of will be.
We will?
We will be.
Be taking over?
So April 21st and 22nd,
Yes.
Southtown Expo Center. K-Talk's going to be broadcasting live there.
Cool. That's
So it'll be like a takeover.
Okay.
It'll be all
We'll
things
take it over at
preparedness.
least for 2 days.
So if you can't make it out to the event, just tune in. It's going to be awesome.
No excuses. Just be there. You have
Absolutely.
enough notice. Just make plans and be there. Because you'll regret it if you don't. I mean,
Exactly.
you really will.
So today's show, as usual, is brought to you by Survival Medical, survival-medical.com, the only first aid kit tougher than nature. And I'm going to say this. If you don't have a first aid kit, at the very least, go get their ultralight, their ultra backpacker. Backcountry ultralight.
Yeah.
And then if you've got, $79, get the Voyager. Throw it in your car.
Yep.
Then you've always got a kit. And this thing, it's not just a first aid kit. It's got a bit of a trauma kit in it. It's got all the types of bandages you could use, but it's also got ointments, gels. It's just a smart kit to have.
That one's very robust.
And it doesn't go bad. I mean, you got about a 20-year lifespan out of this thing. So it's
Even
phenomenal.
in the trunk of your car where it can get hot, it's going to be much better off being a survival medical kit because it's going to be protected from the cold, the heat.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oxygen. Oxygen is
exactly.
the killer for your first aid. So check them out, survival-medical.com. We've got a fun show today. And as always, I'm Mr. Preppercon, and this is the prepared guy, Shane. How you doing, buddy?
I am excellent. I wanted to say fantastic, but that would just sound corny, right?
You're not quite there yet. You're excellent.
I'm excellent. I'm very good.
I don't know which is higher.
Yeah, exactly. Just depends on how I say it, right? I am so good, man. I think it's just good.
Good?
Yeah,
well, you need to be good to great.
I'm great.
I'm just messing with you. Well, hey, guys, thanks for tuning in today. We've got a pretty good show for you today. As always, it's fun. It's all about preparedness, all about survival, all about the things that are practical.
Yeah.
Right?
And, I had some things to say that I wanted to kind of talk to you and talk to our listeners about before I, try and hijack it later on.
Okay.
I typically do, right?
You do, and it's usually really good. Sometimes I'm like, what the crap? But
and
most
you
of the
may
time,
say
I'm like,
that this morning here. I've had, trying to watch everything that's going on with the country and with the world, really. I won't get too specific. Just things are crazy. They're absolutely crazy. And so my gut, I don't know if it's my gut or if it's a portion of my brain that's telling me, you know what, you need to go dark. You need to stop broadcasting. You need to get away. You need to get off the internet, and just go dark and kind of hide.
why?
That's been my feeling.
Why?
I wanted to talk to you about this.
Why do you feel that way?
I'm trying to figure that out, and that's why I bring this up. One thing that's come to my mind
Is it fear-based?
No, it's not. And that's the thing is, okay, I'm trying to figure out, is this fear? Do I feel some kind of fear, or is it just the desire? And let me explain something a little bit. Us preppers, we like to keep to ourselves. We'd like to be left alone, and I'm generalizing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to be left alone, and I feel like everything I see on the news, it's invading. It's my more rights are being invaded upon. They're being taken away. They're being limited. And it's just putting me in a bad mood. I mean, It's kind of pissing me off, and and I'm trying to think, what more can I do? I feel like I just want to just walk away, unplug, and go live in a rural
town. You can turn
town.
off the TV, and you can turn off the radio,
And
except for K-Talk.
Right.
You absolutely have to leave K-Talk on, especially between 9 and 10 every Wednesday morning.
That's right. And I'd like to know what's going on.
True.
So I'm watching the news feeds, and that's why I wanted to talk up to you, Scott, about today, and maybe talk to our listeners as well, is that one thing that's also come to my mind is, okay, we talk about, okay, get ready, prepare for this. The words that now come to my mind are, okay, you need to be ready. You need to be ready now.
Oh, yeah. I believe that, absolutely.
And so watch and be ready. That's what I wanted to say.
I think the key word here is vigilant, right? We need to be hyper aware of what's going on in the world and how it affects us. But more importantly, we need to be ready for whatever can come.
Yeah.
we're living in the last days. There's no doubt about it in my mind. I read Isaiah, I read the Book of Mormon, I read the Doctrine and Covenants, I read the news, and everything's telling me that the signs are coming to pass. We live in a time where there's wars and rumors of wars. We live in a time where there's craziness. People don't care about each other like they used to. The selfishness levels are higher than they've ever been. The conspiracies, I could throw a dart out into the internet and I'm going to land on a conspiracy just as much as I'm going to land on
but it's truly
a false flag, right?
A conspiracy fact.
That's why I didn't say theories.
Yeah.
There's so many things going on that even the conspiracy theorists are like, holy crap, they're no longer theories anymore. They're being proved by the groups that are conspiring, and they're like, what are you going to do to stop us now?
So I feel it's selfish of me to say, okay, I just want to disappear.
Okay.
And stop raising my voice and just kind of hunker down and get away. I don't know. I don't have any special information for any of you guys that you don't already have. That's just been my gut feeling. But now I feel I need to push through this, open my mouth even more, and let it come. I don't know what else to do otherwise.
Well, 2 years ago, I thought I think we got a good 3 years. That's my personal opinion.
Right.
And now we've got, based
Before
on
a major
that,
turning point of some sort.
Yeah, based on that, we've got another good year. I'm hoping that it's like 5-6 more years.
We still have a lot to accomplish. So.
Right? There's so much that needs to be done.
Yeah.
But, you listeners, you're watching what's going on. You're watching the news feeds, and you're seeing all the crap that's going on.
And how
and
nice
if you watch
would it be
TV, filth is just being thrown at us.
And how nice it'd be just to be isolated from all that and be left alone and live your life according to however you want to live it. And I think there's so many forces out there that are affecting us, that are influencing us that way, that it's just, man, I would like to take that extreme approach.
Yeah, don't lose hope,
but
though.
No, I haven't not lost hope. Absolutely not.
Stick around town. I love having you here. We got a caller. Let's bring the caller on. Hey, thanks for calling K-Talk. You're on the air.
Yeah, okay, so I want to disagree with you a little bit here. They've been saying for a millennia now that the end is near. And I always want to take that with a step of caution when you talk about that. It's like, if it happens, it happens. Be prepared for it. But live your life. It's difficult. You're right.
Absolutely, live your life. I agree with that 100%.
And
the thing
sorry, go ahead, Jason.
Well, the follow-up on that is just simply this. I make a distinction between selfishness and self-centeredness. Selfishness tells me that I need to eat, that I need to go to work, I need to take care of self first before I have enough left over to help other people. Self-centeredness is when it's an all-consuming, it's only me and nothing but me. And I think the level of self-centeredness that has happened within our body politic as well as our social consciousness has gotten to such a degree that it's very, very maddening. And so, unplug a little bit. The world's going to go on with or without you. So enjoy those peaceful moments. I don't ever turn on the news on the weekends.
Yeah,
I don't blame you. Yeah. Well, I think you bring up a really good point. Is a lot of people they'll see what's going on, they'll freak out, and then they won't do anything. They won't act. Right? They'll either stop getting prepared, or they'll think they're prepared enough and kind of bunker down. There was a story just last year of a guy that actually climbed out of a bunker that had been in it since Y2K. Did you remember hearing that story?
I have not heard that story.
I thought we talked about it. I guess I talked to someone else about it. I was absolutely blown away that this actually happened. This guy had thought everything's going to Psycho Town and everything's going to fall apart.
Stick himself in a bunker.
So he climbed into his bunker. He'd prepared. He'd climbed into his bunker. I'm like, I'm not a bunker kind of guy.
No.
I'm like, I'd rather see what's going on. I don't want to live in a coffin. But he absolutely disconnected from the world and lived in this bunker for 15 years.
It's crazy.
And why?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So hopefully, listeners, you're not getting to that extreme. The whole point of this show is to help you have peace. Our goal is to help you have the skills, the tactics, the mindset. And Jason brings up a really good point is, things can be falling around everywhere, falling down all around you. It doesn't really matter. The point is, people have been talking about the end times for a long time.
For decades and centuries.
Nothing I'm saying is new, right, Jason?
Yeah, exactly. And it's tough. It's called walking a fine line and a balance. On one hand, you want to stay true to your faith, but on the other side of it is, are you really interpreting, that which has been written in Scripture for a long time? Are you interpreting it correctly? And so at that point, I figure, and this is for me personally, Jesus is going to come if he comes. In the meantime, my job is to emulate those behaviors that he spoke about in the Gospels. My job is to be the wise servant with the virgins with the tenfold lamps. My job is to do all those things. It's up to them. It's so far removed from my day-to-day life other than those aspects of it.
Yeah,
So,
great points. Thank you, Jason. Sure appreciate
the
that.
problem is that's when you get into a lot of people who make some really not so great decisions as a result of believing it so incredibly deeply that you kind of run into problems and you lose validity with it.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I'd like to make just a clarification there is, yes, I think the ultimate goal is we are preparing for the second coming, right? But on a shorter term basis, what I am personally preparing for, and is my advice for everyone else to prepare for, is for those dramatic changes in life. It's not just like we talk about losing a job or a car breaking down, those everyday reasons, but also the time that life changes as we know it, which we had that event, in 9/11, 2001. That was a life-changing event. And we know there's going to be more of those.
Well, it changed the entire culture of America.
Yeah, exactly.
And our position on things solidified or changed based on how we reacted to that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the California attack, right? Not to the same level, but it solidified people's opinions and beliefs or misbeliefs, and they've dug in deeper. So there's things that are creating a greater divide, but it's also affecting. If you're not paying attention to how it affects you, you're kind of missing out on this whole earthly experience of learning and growing.
One final thought before I take off here, and that is that there's been many times in my life where everything was falling apart around me, only to discover that it was really falling together in a new and unique way that I had no idea could have been possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a great day, guys.
Hey, thanks, Jason. Yeah, I think he's absolutely right there. Things fall together when you're preparing for them.
Well, just when you're living life and things feel like they're falling apart, they're really falling into place is how I like to put it. And it's funny because we talk about preparedness, we talk about the importance of it all, and there's the big time preparedness issues, but there's also the small preparedness issues, and it's funny how many people I talk to who don't prepare for either. And their reason is, well, I don't think anything's going to happen. I'm like, you don't think you're going to ever crash your car?
Which brings us perfectly into our topic today.
Or you don't think you'll ever go without a job, or you don't think there's going to be a death in the family at an untimely. It's never timely.
Yeah. And most people who go into debt think that things are going to continue as they have been. Especially with employment. And that's one reason why we get long-term debt is things are never going to change. I'll have my job and I'll be able to pay my bills.
There's debt that I think is wise. Like a mortgage, as long as you're not going crazy on your monthly payments. If it's outside of your normal reach, then you shouldn't be going that big on your purchase. I believe that you should be able to put at least 5% down when you buy a house.
At least, yeah, absolutely.
If you're not able to do that, or get a grant for that, or get assistance for that, why are you taking a loan on the whole value of a home? Because you're not going to be able to recover from that if you have a hiccup in your finances. Thankfully, our house right now we've got about 29% equity in it. Yeah, nice. Not enough for me. I'd rather have 100% equity, right? Not have that payment and have that money going somewhere else. But the point is if something happens to me and I don't have an income anymore, my family's screwed until that's resolved. So I can have them completely screwed by not having food storage and not having first aid kits and not having, resources. Flashlights. Yeah. I've got backup energy in case. So if I lose my job to the point that I'm not making any money, which I've gone 4 or 5 months at a time in the last 3 years. That's the nature of real estate. Yep. The nature of what I do. And, right now I'm on a 3-month gap, but the interesting thing is, I can see the light around the edge of the corner, but I've always saved money. I've always saved food. I've got food storage sitting there ready to go. I've got things ready for me. That way I don't have to worry about it. So we'll be right back. We're going to keep talking about why people don't prep, kind of the excuses. You're listening to K-Talk Radio, Prepper Talk Radio on K-Talk AM 630. Welcome back, everybody, to Prepper Talk Radio here on K-Talk. We're excited. We're talking about all the excuses why people don't prep, and I want to remind you that this is brought to you by Survival Medical, survival-medical.com. They even have what I call the big daddy of them all. Their Alpha Bucket,
yeah.
right? That's good for a group of 15 or so. It's like it's your large family.
Use it for a long time.
Yeah, I mean it's your large family. This is kind of the emergency room kit,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So anything that could happen, that could go wrong, this potentially has the solutions in it. Check it out, survival-medical.com.
Yes.
You took a breath. I was
Oh,
going to let you start talking.
Sorry,
I was
I
like,
didn't
huh?
mean to do that.
We're both pausing. We're like, oh,
Yeah, I was just going to
wrong
say,
radio. What do we do? Oh, no.
each take a breath at the same time. Somebody's going to talk. Anyway, so yeah, I have an Alpha Bucket in my food alongside my food storage, so I highly recommend the Alpha Bucket. It's very comprehensive.
And I've got the Bravo Bucket. I've actually got two of those.
Cool.
You know, and then I've got the birthing bucket.
Easier to split up that way.
Hopefully, I never have to use it. My wife's pregnant
I have
right
a good
now,
birth bucket as well.
but I'm like, oh, don't come
Yeah,
in
I
the
don't
wild.
want-
Don't come. Our
Wait
biggest
till the baby's
concern
born,
is,
and then everything can collapse, right?
exactly. Our biggest concern is that PrepperCon is April 21st and 22nd. The baby's due May 3rd. What if the baby comes early?
Oh, yeah, and very
We'll be
likely-
using that birthing bucket. Like, holy crap! Like,
I hope not.
I hope that I don't have to name my baby
Although-
PrepperCon because she's born at PrepperCon. But wow.
John will disagree with you. I think he's had a couple of his kids, at home. I think.
Well, and I mean his prior career. I mean, I guess he's
Yeah.
helped deliver quite a few babies.
Yeah.
You know, the mom does all the work.
Or that's just too scary for me.
The
I'm just-
doctors and nurses, midwives, they're
gonna-
just there for
Yeah.
moral support.
If there's an emergency, then okay,
Emergencies.
I'll go for it. But if it's planned, I'm just not gonna.
Yeah.
We're going to the hospital.
My wife wants that epidural thing, so
Yes.
I'm all for that. So okay, so let's jump into our topic. Right, we're talking about why people don't prepare.
Yep.
What causes someone to think, I'm okay. I don't have to worry about that.
And Scott brings this up to me. I say these are reasons why we don't prep, but no, they're excuses.
yeah, we've had this conversation.
Excuses why we don't prep. It's kind of the same thing, but not really. I mean, I had a friend tell me once long ago, excuses are a sign of a weak mind, and I mean
Yep.
that obviously hit home to me, and it's stuck ever since. So, if you have a reason why you're not prepping, really, it's probably just an excuse,
excuse.
and there's a workaround.
Absolutely. Hey, and we've got a caller. Let's bring you on the air. Hey, caller, thanks for calling in. You're on Prepper Talk Radio. We're talking about the excuses why people don't prep. What have you got for us?
Well, why the guy stayed that long in his Y2K bunker,
Mm-hmm.
He was just breaking it in,
He could have been.
There's usually a 15, 17, 20-year period where the break-in period
Break-in
that comes with
Wow. Hopefully I'm broken in by now.
Anyway, that's what struck me. Okay.
All right, cool. No, that's something to think about. Absolutely.
Thank you for your call.
Yeah, there you go.
Breaking in the bunker.
Breaking in the
15
bunker.
years.
15
and
years
you just
to break
broke it
that
in.
bunker. Wow.
So now I can go move in and be there for 2030.
Yeah.
Makes me think of the movie Blast from the Past. with
Yes.
Brendan
Oh,
Fraser.
yeah. Yep.
Golly, this is incredible.
Grew up his entire life in a bunker.
In a bunker. 21 years.
Yeah, fun little show.
Or 25 years. So, but, okay, let's jump back a little bit. The excuses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the number one excuse that I hear all the time. Oh, I don't have to worry about it. The government's going to take care of me.
Yeah.
And for anyone that still falls for that, or if you have a friend that's told you that, my response to those people is, look at Katrina.
Mm-hmm. It is true that the biggest preppers out there are the government. Mm-hmm. They're, if you think we're conspiracy theorists, or we talk about conspiracies, they are even so much more above us in preparing for, whatever it may be. I mean, they are obviously quite prepared, but they're prepared for themselves, not for us.
Right. They've got to keep the government running. And
Exactly.
that's the argument is they're putting all these resources keeping the government running. But then there's also
Staying in power.
the additional budgets and things that are prescribed for relief. Right. Problem is the execution of that relief. In the case of Katrina, it took 3 weeks to get the aid there. 3 weeks for the government to come help. Now, we had help from, for example, the churches. The Catholic Church was really big. The Red Cross was getting there pretty quick. The Mormon Church was there right away. Those groups were there first. And they always will be. The government's always going to be the last one of the game. My favorite example is if you look at what happened in Idaho when the Teton Dam broke. The stake president, he was on it. They went ahead. The dam broke. They went and checked on everybody, made sure everyone was okay, got everybody out where they needed to. They started working on things, a cleanup plan. The government finally shows up, and they're like, okay, here's what you need to do.
We're already done. You got all
Like,
that done.
we did that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then the next step is we need to do this.
Yep, it's
Oh, we
done.
did that. Okay, the next step is you need to do this. Oh, we did that. Okay, I'm going to sit down and you tell me what else you've done. That's the problem that we're facing. So if you think the government's going to come take care of you, your neighbors might help. The government's not going to be there in time to really do anything good of value.
And-
You're going to be left 2 to 3 weeks without their assistance. So
And
you need to
regardless-
have 2 to 3 weeks at a very minimum.
At a very minimum. And yeah, regardless, it's going to be temporary. Whatever they do is going to be very temporary and very minor. It's not going to be take care of all of your needs.
Yeah, and they're going to take care of the highest priority things first. For example, getting the local government back up and running, taking care of the people that are already at the hospital that are on care plans. Those are the prioritizations.
And I think most of our listeners probably are aware of that and realize that we're not going to count on our government for anything.
Right. But I think the point is we know that. You know that. You listeners know that. You've probably got a brother or a sister or a niece, a nephew, a son or daughter that doesn't pay attention to that thinks all is fine, everything's hunky-dory, the government will take care of me. You need to help them understand this.
Yeah. And I think that's where it brings us into, I think probably the biggest issue is this, just a normalcy bias. We've been in the same pattern for, well, my entire life. I've never seen anything major happen in my entire life in the way of a disaster or anything like that. So, you know, my mind reasons and thinks that, everything is just going to continue as is. Why would it change? There's, it's just only going to get better, right?
That's easily felt that way. You know, there's been a long time I felt that, and I still feel like, oh wow, things can improve, things can get worse. I'm kind of like back and forth on that spectrum, but I think that's because that's the normal emotional roller coaster we're all in life, right? Sometimes we swing to the side of everything's fine. Other times,
Like,
we swing to the side like, holy crap,
life sucks.
the world is spinning out of control, and it's really I lost my driver's license, so I'm freaking out, right? We tend to over exaggerate, and so we'll have those emotional swings.
Yep.
Now that's normal. What's not normal is letting that dictate our life. You know, you can have those moments. Don't let it dictate your life. So, as preppers, we don't. We try to find solutions. So if something does happen, we've got a backup. We've got a plan A. We've got a plan B. We've got a plan C. If you don't have at least a plan D, I'm worried for you.
And the
you should be
key
working
is-
towards a plan Z.
And the key is, and we talked about this, previously, but is to have that plan in writing, not just my thoughts are this, but actually have that plan in writing and distribute it to your other family members, and like we discussed previously, use the PACE model.
Yep.
Have your primary plan, and then have a backup plan and an emergency plan at the very end. All of which are in writing and spelled out very clearly, not just for you, but for everyone else in your family.
PACE is primary, alternate, contingency,
and emergency.
and then emergency. So that's your A, B, C, D. That's your first 4 plans you need to have minimum, and then after that, it's overcome. It's adapt and then go for it, right? But I think the point isn't just to have a plan, but it's to study the plan. It's to practice
it.
the plan. If you're not practicing the plan and you're not reviewing the plan, you're not improving. You're not enhancing.
Yeah, it's kind of like going through your bug out bag every 6 months or whatever. So, I forgot that was in here. I do that all the time. I'm going through my bag. I was wondering where this was. Oh, it's in my bag. Good. Okay. It's kind of the same thing as going through your plans, is having them fresh in your mind so that when that event happens, it becomes automatic. It just clicks.
Exactly.
And it's put into play.
So I think if we can take a little more time every month, 1 day a month, spend just an hour going through your plan, you're going to be a lot better off than anybody else. My ward actually just did this exercise a few weeks ago. The bishop challenged everybody to go a week without going to the grocery store and see how well you do. And it was voluntary.
And make do with what you
Make do with
don't
what you have. He even said, if you really want to test yourself, don't go to the gas station.
There you go.
And I'm like, that's not going to work for me because I'm on my way to California
driving so
to
much,
deliver a bunch of stuff. I'm like, so I try to do everything I could without, going overboard. But had I stayed at home, dude, I would have been fine and dandy.
Yeah.
I have a couple jerry cans of diesel. I'm good to go, right? I can go a week or two. And then my food, my resources. If power were to have gone out, I've got my backup generator, which could power almost half my house, and I've got enough fuel to keep that running for about 2 weeks. And then I have a tiny battery bank. Tiny, I mean really tiny. It doesn't really put out enough to do much other than keep a few life support things going. Right. But the point is it's easily life-changing when you don't have those resources. We also had, just last week, on Sunday, we're at church, the water main broke. We come home, there's no water. And it's funny to see, we have a neighborhood group, everyone, oh my gosh, there's no water, what do I do? And I'm like, really? We just talked about this at church. What do? You grab your little water cans. You grab your water, we can't flush the toilets.
The water storage you have in your house.
You don't have extra water storage so you can flush the toilets because you guys weren't checking your water before you went and took your dump. I'm like, come on. One of my neighbors is hilarious, and he's like, he's got everything he needs to be prepared, but he's like, I've got to send my kids out to crap on the lawn. This isn't good. And everyone's like, oh, no, don't do that. And he's like, guys, I'm kidding. Like, if you're not prepared, that's your alternative. If you're prepared, you're not worried about this.
Yep.
And the reality was the water was turned back on within about 3-4 hours. Right. But everyone was losing their mind.
Such an inconvenience for 3 hours.
So imagine if that went on for a week or two. Or imagine, for example, the Flint, Michigan water. Still a problem.
Yeah.
How long can you go without those resources that are provided by your government? How long can you go?
Yeah, and the water's a perfect example because it's something that's provided by our local governments. And essentially also our electricity and the utilities and all that. So that's a great idea. Put it into plan into play and practice it for even a day.
Yeah.
Don't use the water for a day and see what it's like.
It's not
something
easy.
Very simple and easy.
Turn all the water off in the house. You just go turn the main water off and see what it's like living a day without that water.
Well, just the few hours that our water heater was leaking and I had to fix it, that was inconvenient enough, right?
Oh, yeah. Everyone's like, I got to go to the bathroom, Dad.
Sorry, I had to turn the water off.
Yeah.
Oh, what am I going to do?
My hands are dirty. I'm like, grab a bottle of water, go out in the backyard and wash them off. I'm like, no big deal. I think we overcomplicate things so often that it doesn't have to be as difficult, and we can learn to adapt a lot quicker than we do. I think we're very resilient people. We're designed that way. But I think a lot of times we forget that and we think, I can't deal with this. It's too much.
Yeah, again, normalcy bias.
Yeah, and it's an excuse. So let's take another caller. Hey, welcome to Prepper Talk Radio. You're on the air.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Doyle.
Hello, Doyle.
Welcome to the show, Doyle.
And I'm interested in what you've been talking about.
Well, thanks.
Fantastic.
I've had a couple of quotes come to mind because of what you were saying.
Perfect.
Okay.
And the one of them is I forget who said it, but when the time for action comes, the time for preparation is over.
Perfect.
And we never know when that time is going, so we have to be prepared all the time, just about. The second one is, he that is prepared shall not fear. And then the third one is, he that prepares for an emergency never has one.
That's a great one.
I like that one a lot.
That's a great one.
That's a good one. And I think...
So what I'm saying is, I'm senior on a fixed income, and I have to really budget and try to prepare, and hopefully I'm prepared right now for any emergency, but yet there's so many people out there with the cost of living going up that want to take away my money, and I really have to be careful of what I use my money for.
That's a fantastic point.
I think there's just too much out there. The people are out there raising interest and raising insurance costs and everything else going on out there to take my money, and I'm trying to budget it the best I can, but it's still a struggle.
Oh, yeah.
So, what do you guys recommend for something like that, for a guy on senior citizen that's on a fixed income?
I think the best thing you can do is when you're shopping, when you're getting things, I like getting extra if I can, or make sure I'm buying it in canisters that I can reuse, right? A lot of times I'll buy 2-liter sodas, and I'll intentionally get the green bottles because I know I can fill those with water later, and I can put those somewhere and store those. The other thing is I'm a firm believer of gardening. gardening can offset a lot of your bills.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just a tiny window garden to start, something is better than nothing.
And, we plan on having another show here in the near future about ways you can prep for free and low-cost prepping as well. That, like I said, that'll take up an entire show if we go on that.
Is that 3 weeks from now?
Yes, 3 weeks from now. So next week we're going to talk again. We're going to talk about situations and
contingency plans.
Yeah,
and dealing with the unknown. And in another week after that, we'll talking
about
how to prep for free or really low cost stuff. So stay with us, because that's what we're going to focus on in 2 weeks.
Well, I appreciate that information and just all the help that you're giving me through your preparatory radio station here that you're doing. I'm trying to watch my specials and buy more where I can and do all of the things that you're telling me to do. I mean, I've had years enough experience I never know when I'm going to be out of work, or I never know where my next dollar's coming from. So
absolutely,
I never know where the emergency is going to be and what form it's going to take.
We are running into a break. We're going to have to let you go. Thank you so much for your call. We are brought to you by Survival Medical. That's survival-medical.com. We'll be right back after a break with our sponsors. Hey, welcome back. We're going to jump right into Prepper Talk Radio here. Brought to you by Survival Medical. That's survival-medical.com. And Shane and I are here talking about the excuses why people don't prep. Last caller brought up a good point.
Yes.
3 good quotes, but I think if you prepare for an emergency, you never have one was my favorite.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So let's use that as a segue back into our topic of the excuses people have for why they don't prep. We've already talked about government.
Yeah, in our limited time here, trying to pick out which ones are the best ones here. One, I think that a lot of people who are, I guess, idealists, and I like to think, the world is good and rosy, and I think positive of most people. So I think the statement that, I refuse to give in to fear and paranoia is one of the reasons I don't prep is, it's somewhat of a valid concern and a valid excuse, right?
No.
I mean, for the people who think that, it's valid in their minds.
They think it's valid, but my argument against that is if you look at the animals in the animal kingdom, they're preparing all the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Some of them are migratory. They know where the food's going to be when they need it, so they follow that.
Well, I got squirrels that run up and down the back of my fence collecting acorns all summer long.
And what do we do as people? Oh, I'm going to go to the store. It's always going to be there. I don't have to worry about it. Yep. Well, that's not true. That's simply not true. Just watch what's going on in America. All around America, you'll see places where stores are closing down.
Well, like the normalcy bias, we only look back in our limited experience that we have, and maybe our parents have, that, the stores have always been open. Maybe there's been a delay here or there, a week or two over the last century or something like that. We just don't have that experience to look back on and say, there was a huge disaster.
Then look at Venezuela.
Yeah.
Right? Look at another nation and see what's going on there. Or go back further in time, the Great Depression. I mean, we will have hiccups. That's just part of life. Mm-hmm. The fact that we haven't had a major one yet, bravo, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and technology is going to protect us from all of those possibilities, right?
I don't know. My cell phone has never provided food for me without me having to actually use it to call somebody.
Right.
We live this on-demand life. When that on-demand life changes to in-demand and we don't have anything, we're screwed as a people.
Yeah, we count on technology too much.
Yeah. So I think that normalcy bias, the only way you can talk to somebody about that is to teach them history.
No, that's absolutely. I think that's absolutely true. Now, I don't like to give in to fear or paranoia either. Yeah. But I
don't think you do. I think you're very wise in how you prepare. Some people call it hoarding. But hoarding is different. Hoarding is I'm just going to collect everything I can and just fill my rooms.
For no reason, no purpose.
And there's no value in anything you have, and most of the time it's junk, and it won't even get into the mental disease information behind that. Mm-hmm. What we want to get into is with preparedness, I'm preparing my family for long-term sustainability, right? Being anti-fragile. Mm-hmm. So that if something does hiccup along the way, I'm not affected by it. My family's not affected
very minimally by it.
Our quality of life doesn't go drastically down. That's the goal, right? The goal is to not just survive things, but to have the highest quality of life possible throughout every scenario. And that means being wise with the money and the resources you have. So you're not overspending or going on really retardedly expensive vacations when you don't need to, when you could put some of that money towards preparedness.
Yeah, and I think this has to do a lot with if you're a half glass empty person or a half a glass water full person. If you're pessimistic or optimistic, you can be optimistic and still be a prepper. You can still be pessimistic and still be a prepper. I mean, it's.
I'd like to consider myself a very optimistic prepper.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
I do too.
So okay, so then what are the other ways you can deal with someone that behaves that way? I mean, besides talking about history, what are the other recommendations you have about helping them understand the error of that logic?
Well, I think someone who's an optimist is probably a little more difficult to deal with because they think everything is rosy, and they maybe don't delve into the news, and they don't want to. They don't want to be depressed, and I completely appreciate that. But I mean, that is a tough question. I talk to people who are very optimistic about the future. Things are looking good, and I love my job, and everything is good. So how do you put that kind of frowny face on and say, well, you need to prepare for this disaster because this could happen, and that's very pessimistic to someone who's optimistic. So how to help someone convince someone that they need to prepare for, say, an earthquake. Well, you know what? Here's something I heard. Optimism is not going to stop an earthquake.
True.
It's not going to stop financial Mother Nature from taking over. It's not going to pay.
Well, Mother Nature is always
bills.
Coming back to reclaim what's hers, right? And the financial sector, you said financial and then Mother Nature, but to split those up, financial sector, very affected by Mother Nature. Disasters happen all the time. Those businesses have to change. That's why there's such thing as insurance, right? But there's life insurance, there's health insurance, but I'll submit to you that life insurance is death insurance. It's not true life insurance.
No, it's
your disability insurance is a type of real true life insurance. Your food storage, your emergency plans, those are real true life insurance because you're ensuring that you're going to be able to get through whatever could come. That's what I love. That's what I like about preparedness because then I don't have to worry about it. It's an insurance plan. And it takes away a lot of the fear. It takes away the trepidation of going on an adventure because I know I'm taken care of. I've got the things that I need to get through it.
Yeah, and then toward the financial aspect, I'm a big silver guy, right?
Yep.
That's my insurance plan.
One
of, absolutely. One of my insurance plans for my financial stability in the future is to have some precious metals. Silver, I like silver better than gold, but it's not about being paranoid that the dollar's going to crash, so I have a bunch of silver. No, it's part of my insurance plan.
It's money.
It is real money.
I can use it now, or I can use it in the future.
And we should have another whole show about silver.
Let's do that again soon.
Yeah. The week after
the
free
cheap prepping,
the inexpensive prepping and free prepping show. We'll do precious metals.
So 3 weeks from now.
Cool.
Okay, so let's go back to the list. I think one of the, and this will kind of go into play for the next couple of weeks though, but I think one of the biggest, issues I hear is, I can't afford it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bag on the people that say that. The caller that we just had is preparing as best he can on a limited budget.
Yeah, on his fixed income.
He's living below his means so he can do things better.
Yeah.
Right? I think anyone that gives you the argument, I can't afford it, it's BS. And you can call me and you can yell at me if you want to, but you're going to fall, if you're the part of that group that I would say it falls into 3 to 5% of that truly can't, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the other 95% who just bought a new car
or spend $300 a month on their Xfinity TV programming and such,
or they spend $180 getting their hair done every other month.
There you go.
Or they're taking their entire tax refund, which I'm going to change the phrasing of this, their return of their money that they let the government borrow without paying interest. They basically took your money for a period of time and didn't pay interest. You gave them an interest-free loan.
And that's our show 4 weeks from now.
That's our show 4 weeks from now. No, but you're getting that money back and you think, I'm going to go on a vacation. I'm going to go spend it all. I'm going to spend it all on a new car. I'm going to spend it. Look at your needs versus your wants and give your needs more value than your wants.
Yeah, that's a great show. I mean, we should do that too because that's a great one to talk about. Okay, say I've got very little food storage, but I got a lot of guns. Okay, well, here's my quick advice, to not get us off topic. Sell some of those guns and buy some more food storage.
Absolutely.
Be smart with your money, and that's about free and low-cost prepping, too.
Absolutely. You can't eat bullets when the crap hits the fan.
You need them.
They're great. They're a great resource. You can use them as a trade item. You can use them as a defense item. You can use them as a hunting item. But you can't eat bullets.
Shelter, water, food.
Shelter, water, food.
And then guns.
Absolutely. First aid,
defense
guns,
is right there. First aid and
they're
defense
like there. Yeah.
is right there.
So whatever your situation is, I think my camera just died. Whatever your situation is, you need to be more cognizant of where you're spending your money. I fell into this. I was spending a lot of money on fast food. Which is also part of the reason why I'm on a diet now, down 9 pounds. Woohoo!
Congratulations.
But the big thing is that's $9 for a meal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Okay,
it
now you
pains me.
calculate that.
Yeah,
2 meals a day, 5 days a week.
even just one meal a day. When I'm out on the road, I've got to eat. But throw some fruit in my car and throw some other nuts and other healthy snacks. Then I don't have to go spend $8-9. Which
Okay.
it literally pains me to do that.
Twice a day, because I do a lot of travel. For 5 days out of the week, for 52 weeks out of the year, that's another $4,680
Add to your
that I'm
price.
spending on fast food. That if I cut that in half,
Yeah.
right, or less, because when you're eating foods that you've prepared, it costs significantly less. You're not
Yes.
paying for someone else to prepare it, right, and you're also not paying the markup for eating in their establishment or going through their
And
drive-through.
it's better for you, and it's more filling, and it's
Yeah,
more
and so
satisfying.
I'd have another $2,300 that I would have saved just by doing it myself, and that's if it was at half the cost. It's probably going to be lower, but that $2,300
Yeah.
can buy a lot of
A lot
food
of
storage. It can buy a lot of candles. It can buy a lot of resources. It'll give you, and obviously keep some of it liquid, keep some of it cash. It'll give you resources to get through a downtime.
Yeah.
Now, if you've got your tax refund coming due,
Tax refund.
yeah, I hate that term, but that's what we all use.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use that language. If you've got that
Yeah,
coming
right.
due, don't go spend it on the new car. Don't go spend it on that big vacation.
I'd really like some new wheels. They're pretty cool. My old wheels. No. That's going towards necessities. I tell you.
Get the things you need. Put something in savings. You should have at least, at any given time, you should have at least a 3-month supply of financing, right? Money that you have either in the bank or liquid in hand, quick accessibility to money that you can use in case you lose your job,
Yeah.
right? You should also have at least 3 months worth of food.
Yeah.
Because of the same reason,
Same reason. Yeah.
Now,
we're coming up to the last few minutes of the show here, and we've got so many different excuses why we don't prep. So here's a couple real quick, and then we'll maybe pick one or two and talk about it. A big one, I think, people think I'm crazy. People think I'm crazy if I'm a prepper, right? These preppers, they're kind of nuts.
well, most of the time you don't even know who the preppers are.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why I was talking at the first of the program, I want to go dark. It'd be more comforting. I'd probably be a little more comfortable in my own skin. Being out here on the airwaves, this is a stretch for me. I've always been a very reserved person, but I'm learning to come out of my skin. So hopefully you're getting some benefit from me putting myself on the line, right?
Well, I definitely am. So thank you, Shane.
Oh yeah, thanks, you bet. So, excuse me. Anyway, so what's your reaction? I mean, what are people around you thinking? If you're prepping, you're saving up food storage. Do people think you're crazy? I mean, I think that's a real big concern, and it shouldn't be, but I think it is a concern for a lot of people. Maybe some of you out there that can think, well, I don't think I'm crazy if I'm stockpiling on food. And I use the word stockpiling, not hoarding, because stockpiling is the correct term there. And then another one I wanted to touch on real briefly, since we only got a couple minutes left, is my faith will save me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole show right there. But, because I have faith and I'm a good person and I'm obeying the commandments, I'll be saved. I'll be protected from all this harm that's coming up. No, this
Now,
bad
I'm going to
stuff is
tell
coming up.
everybody out there in the sound of my voice, and you can yell at me for this. You're stupid if you think that. Because
Yeah,
the
ignorant.
scriptures... No, stupid.
Okay.
Not ignorant.
All right.
Stupid.
Okay.
Because if you have faith, that means that you're practicing your religion. Now, if your religion... and this is mostly for Christians. If your religion revolves around the Bible, then you know the parable of the 10 virgins. Christ only took the 5 that had their oil ready.
Yep, that's right.
The other 5 were stupid. They thought my faith will save me.
Mm-hmm.
They thought, oh, it's all good. The bridegroom will come and we'll borrow your oil. No, that's not how
I'm
it
prepared
works.
spiritually. I'm a good person. I'm obeying the commandments.
Well, and I think the parable is more
God will
about
take care
spiritual
of me, right?
preparedness than physical, right?
Right.
The oil is something that they couldn't share
Right.
because then they wouldn't have any, right? They can't give their testimony away and then not have one. They can't give their preps away. I mean, we can give our preps away. I can share that with my neighbors. I can share that with my loved ones. I can be of benefit to them. But if you think your faith is going to save you, you know, the other parable that I like to point out is the talents.
Yep.
One was given, 5? The other one was given 3. The last one was given 1. And the one that was given 1 said, well, Lord, I know that you're, a harsh Lord and you'll deal with me justly. So I didn't lose it. I just buried it. And the Lord says, yank, I'm giving it to the one that did the best. The opportunity we have is to exercise our faith to increase our knowledge, to increase our understanding, to increase our preparedness. So faith is a action word that drives us to do what we're supposed to be doing. It's not a reason not to do the things we're supposed to do.
Exactly.
God has told us that if we're not doing the things we're supposed to be doing, that we become slothful and unwise.
And we have been told to watch and prepare. Not only prepare spiritually, but prepare temporally as well, physically, for our physical needs. Now, that's if you want to survive, if you want to be here through when Christ arrives, which I do. That's my plan. But that's long term. So
me too.
Thanks for joining us here on Prepper Talk Radio. We sure like to talk about these things. We hope you can feel that in our voices. And we will see you again next week. And we're, of course, very thankful for our sponsor, Survival Medical, survival-medical.com.
Grow the business.
Keep costs down.
It's not